right, everybody, we're back. Thank you for
Right,
for joining us here today on America's Future with
right,
Cemal Richards.
right.
And it's so good to be back. And
Mm,
it's been a while since I've done an episode, but today we're going to be talking about voter integrity. And
mm.
I will let Cemal introduce himself, tell us a
Yes,
little bit about himself and where he's at and what he's doing.
yes. So Timothy, glad you had me on here. So first of all, I'm based out of Vancouver, Washington. As you can see, the 49 might be backwards on the camera, but that's the legislative district that I live in. That's pretty much the greater Vancouver area. And I'm actually involved with a couple of different organizations. I'm currently a member of the Washington Policy Center, a young professionals program. And the program is designed to get young people like myself up to speed on making good policy, and to also make us experts into certain areas of government. And then also, I'm part of another group called Let's Go Washington. Let's Go Washington was very instrumental in getting four initiatives passed into law last year. Unfortunately, one of those initiatives took a hit, but we're looking to rectify that later on this year. So that's me.
That is so cool. And so what's your role in voter integrity? How does that play into all that?
Yes. So I would say I started getting involved probably back in 2019 was probably where I started really getting involved with the elections here in Washington State. I didn't know nothing. As everybody else who starts in this, you get involved in one thing and then you start branching out into a bunch of other things. So I got started on a governor's campaign, helping out. And afterward, there seemed to be some irregularities with the counting of the votes and the voter rolls and all of that stuff. And it was nothing that I had a lot of knowledge on until I started getting involved with our local election integrity a team here in Clark County. And as we started to go on, we started noticing issues with our own roles. There's an RCW that we have that stands for Revised Code of Washington. Those are the laws that we have that we follow when it comes to election law. And there basically is a RCW that states that if someone hasn't voted in two general federal elections, that they get put on the inactive list. But we look at our rolls, and there are people that haven't voted since 1980 that are still on our rolls. It's like, wait a minute. It's like, there's something wrong here. Those people should be put on the inactive list. And I don't believe that it's anything nefarious that is being done. I don't. You maybe could say it's lazy, maybe a little bit of neglect, but I don't think it's nefarious. I feel that it's just a thing about hiring more staff to ensure that these things are looked at and verified more regularly. See, there's no reason, okay, that we have people on the active rolls that are still receiving a ballot that haven't voted in so long. That is a waste of taxpayer dollars, and it's also it leaves the door open up for fraud for someone to go and take that ballot. You don't know, I mean, and go and vote either one way or the other. So see,
Hmm.
um,
So when you were coming in kind of like cold feet, you didn't really know much about what was
no,
going on. So what exactly made you like, maybe I should, get involved in
yes,
what's happening? Like, was there something that you saw, or was there like
yes,
this just seems interesting? I just want to get involved, you know? So what was it that
yes.
that
So
inspired you?
yeah, so I had a conversation with my friend, a buddy of mine back from California. I'm a native Californian, moved up here to the Pacific Northwest, and he was we're conversating back and forth about the election and how things went and how to get involved and fix it to fix all of it. And so the one thing he said that really resonated with me is that if we don't fix our elections, you can't fix something else. And as much as anybody wants to disagree with that, it's very true. See, if you don't have fair elections, how are you going to fix the homelessness? How are you going to fix the crime in your communities? See, so that if you have all these bloated rolls, see, and from there, my mind is not talking about the problem; is trying to find the solution. And so that's why I started getting involved. And it started with a organization called Reach Out Northwest, where we were trying to work to get the boots on the ground to go and verify if individuals on the rolls actually still lived where they say they lived, according to
Hmm.
our voter records database. And so we did eventually get around to doing it, well, not in the fashion that we wanted, but we started finding these people and looking at it saying, hey, you know, this person hasn't voted since then, so let's just go check up on them. We have people that are still verifying and keeping up to date with the rolls as we speak now. And just actually last week, which is why this is all super coincidental, is we had one of our analysts send some of the records to our auditor, and he dismissed them all. And he dismissed them for whatever reason, we don't know. But it was in the same vein that I was telling you that these people have been on the active rolls for numerous years and haven't voted since. And we're doing this by law. We're not saying, oh, they need to be removed because I said so. There could be other reasons why, right? The person's
Hmm.
still there, but we've already verified this looking at the last time they voted, and they're still there. And we're talking about these people that I've looked at have just been in my district. Think about the whole state. How many that must still be out there, you see, that need to be put on the inactive list. And there is another process for actually removing them completely. But all we've asked for is to put them on inactive. And that's not even being done.
Hmm.
See? So that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. So you said you said you don't think it's anything nefarious. So is there any inkling in you that maybe this is nefarious? Like, is there anything
I know
that
what you
might tell you it is nefarious?
I know what you mean. So when I said that, I'm talking about obviously the staff, like the election staff. I don't feel they're doing anything
Oh.
wrong. But when it comes out, now that's another story. When you talk about just regular voters, or you look at certain political action committees. What I'm saying, there could be some some weird stuff that's going on there. But I'm not going to point the finger. All I'm going to say is we need to make our elected officials accountable, and they need to do their job, and that's starting
Hmm.
with following the law. See, if it states in the law that you have to put somebody on inactive if they haven't voted in two federal general elections, and that can be interpreted of a couple different ways. It could be interpreted from it being actual two presidential elections, right? So that's a full 8 years that
Hmm.
individual has not voted, right? They go on the rolls. I know an auditor that's here in Washington State that actually will put somebody on inactive after 4 years, because he interprets that RCW to be two general elections, right? So that would be the midterm and then the presidential election. See, so
Mm.
there's a different way to interpret that, but regardless, getting them on the inactive roles is the right thing to do. And then from there, if those individuals do not respond to a postcard, that's the next process, is that if they haven't responded to a postcard that's sent to them, then they eventually get removed completely from the roles. See, none of that is being done. None of it is.
Hmm.
And so that is
Yeah.
the biggest issue. So um,
Hmm.
we were in this mold of talking about our voter rolls, and I think that is the hot topic right now, probably all throughout the country, is cleaning up the rolls. As DQ are aware of this, Doge of found that a bunch of dead people were still receiving Social Security checks.
Yeah, like someone who was like 360 years old. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
wait a second here, right? And so we're looking at that right there. We're going, oh, these are dead people. So we're trying to see if we can work with True the Vote to see if we can get that data and then verify to ensure that those people are no longer on anybody's rolls. This is not just Washington State. This is everywhere in the country.
Hmm.
And so there's little things like that that we can do to try to keep our voter rolls clean. I'm not going to say, that, um, that, you got to be every single day, you got to be doing, no, no. But there needs to be a cadence of how often those rolls are checked to ensure that they stay updated from time to time. Our charter review commission elections are coming up at the end of this year in November. And one charter amendment that I would like to make or propose is to have it where that has to be done by the elections office. There's a cadence and how often they check to ensure that somebody is moved, right, from active to inactive if they haven't voted in 8 years, right? Which is
Hmm.
giving the most amount of time possible from the RCW. See, and if that's done, then I really do feel that we'll see a difference in some of our elections. I really do. See,
Hmm.
yeah.
So you're a precinct committeeman, right?
Yes, I am. I am a precinct committee officer. Yes, I am.
So what does that what do you do? Like what
Yeah.
is your role as
A lot
a
of
precinct officer?
It's funny because when we go around and we introduce ourselves to our neighbors and we say I'm a PCO, people don't even know what it is.
Yep. Yep.
Precinct
Yep.
committee officer, everything. So the main three responsibilities of a PCO is supposed to be first getting out the vote. You need to be getting out the vote in
Hmm.
your neighborhood to your voters. Obviously, I'm a Republican PCO, and then there's also a Democrat PCO that is in that same.
Unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, right. Is that so? But here's the real thing. The Democrat and the Republican PCO are actually supposed to work together and everything. People don't know that.
Mm,
Everything there actually
that is
are.
interesting. I did not know that.
They're supposed to work together to get out the vote and everything to their respective constituents there. So that, but the other thing is making connections with other voters and getting volunteers to help out with getting out the vote. So you doing it yourself, right? Educating your voters that are in your precinct, getting volunteers to help out with doing canvassing, doing lit drops, um, um, possibly doing actual canvassing, which is going and knocking on doors and talking to the voters, and then obviously going and attending your central committee meetings. All right, to ensure that you're relaying over information to the voters that where they wouldn't know, wouldn't hear it from anywhere else. See, um,
Hmm.
I find it that the PCO position is very powerful. You think about having people out in their neighborhoods and getting out the vote, it can make a drastic difference in the voter turnout. Everything if those PCOs are to put in the work and go out and advocate for those candidates.
So I know we have a friend. I won't say her name just for
Mhm.
privacy's sake, but uh, how often do you guys work together?
Mhm.
Like
So
how like she said that you guys work together very often. So what does that look like for, different precincts and stuff? How does that work? How do you guys
okay,
work together?
so so we talk about the Democrat, everything working with the
No, no,
Democrat.
no, 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 no. The one who was at the training,
Yeah, absolutely.
training with us.
Absolutely, yeah. So every PCO or individual, you're responsible for your precinct. I would say really the only connection that would be between a PCO in one county compared to another would be to get out the vote for a statewide candidate. You see, that would
Mm,
definitely be where the connection is there. It's like that where okay, so governor, we have a governor candidate announces he wants to run. He gets supported as the candidate that we want to support to make it all the way through. There could be issues where one county is low on materials like flyers, signage, things like that. We could contact another county and say, "Hey, Pierce or Hey King, you guys got some extra signs, or we may have more flyers. You make a swap, give them flyers, give us signs. You see, so we can work together in that way with getting out the vote for our statewide candidates. See, so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good. But mostly, when in your own county, you're supposed to be supporting and getting behind your own legislative district candidates, your
Mm-hmm.
county commission candidates, and then obviously like city council and school board and all that. So,
Okay. So, something and I totally lost it. Um, so, going back to voter integrity,
mhm.
what did you see in the 2020 election? Like, not just people on the voter rolls that may not have been supposed to be there. We don't. I mean,
Yeah.
dead people voting in elections. Like that doesn't look good. But so other than that, what other things did you notice? Like, is there any like? Because I remember I watched an
Good.
Epoch Times a documentary, and Joshua Phillips, he's like the executive investigator there, and he did a documentary about the 2020 election,
Mhm.
and he said he was looking at his TV,
Yeah.
and he could see the way the votes changed, and
Yes.
like the just the number, like the we was
Yes.
watching the number, and when he
Yes.
was watching that number, he said there was like a jump in the Democrats,
Yes.
like it was like all of a sudden.
Yes.
So I mean, like what like is there other like what did you see that
I'm
was different in 2020 that was changed in 2024 that was for the
yeah.
better?
So to make maybe a comparison here is, and I want to say that for my own firsthand account, because I did not,
Mm,
I'm going off of what most people had saw. There
mm,
was someone that had uh, it had presented to us, the election integrity expert here in Washington, and had said that they were watching the numbers on the screen during the governor's election. It was a
mm,
gentleman by the name of Lauren Culp, who was the Republican candidate going up against the Democrat, which is Jay Inslee here in Washington State. And it was basically, she said that the number, it did change for the Democrat, but the problem was that it was more than the actual population of the state of
mm-hmm.
Washington.
Yes, yes,
It's like,
yes,
wait a minute,
yes,
that's not right. There's no those many people that live here.
yes,
And so that was
yes.
an issue. And then now let's jump over to 2024. I think what the problem was, and obviously the Democrats did it to themselves. You see, they tried to change the laws to make it where you know illegals could vote. Because currently, right now, in the state of Washington, illegals can register to vote. It's
Mm-hmm.
called motor voter. If they go in to get themselves a ID, they will automatically register them to vote. See, and then what they do is that they'll send them a postcard later in the mail to say, hey, if you're not a registered voter or you're not a citizen of the United States, then sign this card and send it back. How many people? How many of you people you do you think that are going to actually fill that out and send it back? They're not doing that. They're going to look at, oh nope, tap, toss in the garbage. See, and so the getting back to the issue is that I just feel that there were not a lot of people that like Kamala Harris, just straight up. More people saw the damage that Biden administration did to the country and said, "Hey, we're going for Trump." You see, and they did, and I really feel that the media, it's like, dude, don't talk about Trump. Don't talk about him at all. You gave him more publicity by trying to indict him. You shot the man. You know what I mean? People saw this. You see, you made him look even more credible than even before. So I know the two of my Democrat friends hit me up social media. One of them called me and said, "Come on, I am not voting for Biden. If he runs again, I'm voting for Donald Trump." These are
Oh
Democrats
wow.
we're talking about here, and it was based off of what was going on in Chicago. You see, while the illegals who are coming up from Mexico being shipped out from Texas and Arizona, and they shipped them over to Illinois, they're in those black neighborhoods. You see, and everything, and a lot of those neighbors were really upset going to those city council meetings, letting their mayor know, "Hey, you better get this stuff under control." You see, and from what I understand, he's under investigation and could be arrested for going against federal law. See, so if you get interfere with them trying to deport illegals from this country, then you can get in trouble as well. See, so
Hmm.
these mayors and governors of these blue states better wake up, start following the law, because if they don't, they're going to find themselves locked up real soon. See.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, it's like there's a. Do you remember seeing that clip of Trump and he was in a meeting with like all the mayors and governors, and he was like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did see that.
and there was one in Maine,
That was
and
Maine.
she was
That
like,
was in Maine.
yes,
Yes.
and he was like, well, are you gonna comply with the law? And she's like,
Yes.
yes, and he's like, well, we are the law, and then it's like, oh, well, are you gonna let men playing
Yeah.
transgenders playing women's sports?
Uh,
And she's like, yes, and she's like, and he's like, no, well, we're coming after you, and then she's like, well, we'll take you to court. And he's like, I'd love to see that.
that
That would be an easy case.
that's not going to work, because again, we're talking about, this is federal law, and this is what is the issue here on the West Coast, and I'm looking at their side of the view. So we take a prototypical Democrat, right? They're looking at the fact that their state is a sanctuary state. See, and they're looking at saying, "Hey, they have right to be here because our laws allow them to be here." But what they don't understand is that when it comes to a federal law and an investigation, you cannot stand in the way of that. A
Hmm.
federal oversees everything, especially if it comes to deporting criminals. And these are people who are actually locked up in jail right now, and ICE is coming to get them, and you have officers standing in the way of not deporting them. Can't do that. See, that you let ICE get those individuals and get them out of here, and that goes of even for those who have crossed illegally, who are here. Maybe they're just here working, trying to have a better make a better life for themselves. That's great. But again, you are a criminal because you broke federal law. You cannot come into this country illegally. You see, uh, uh,
Hmm.
seek asylum, try to seek asylum, and they did not do that. And so there's going to be like a lot that these blue states can do. And obviously you're giving the warning to the illegal themselves, but the warning needs to go to people that are aiding and abetting with those individuals. If they step in the way of any type of federal investigation of deporting somebody, they can also be arrested as well. See? So I don't know if any Democrats watch your show, but you better make sure you wisen up. Do not be housing or trying to protect any illegal immigrant, because if you do, you will go to jail as well. See?
Hmm. So when you're, I'm jumping around all over the place. Things
Yeah,
come to
no,
me here
yeah.
and there.
Mhm,
So when you're Cal canvassing,
mhm.
and you like, do you have a list of only Republicans or conservatives,
Good
or is
question.
it just a list of voters and you just go knock on people's doors and just talk to them? How
So
build
it's,
a relationship, get to know them.
it's a very good question.
So like how does that work?
It's a very, very good question. So, from me, my perspective, how I like to do is I like to go and get know the Republicans in my uh, uh, precinct, everything, and this goes for my whole district as well. Everything like to talk to the Republicans first, let them know that work is being done to improve the quality of life in our neighborhoods, and then I will also serve the Democrats as well. I went out canvassing one time, and sometimes our lists are not always accurate. So there might be somebody on the list that probably was rated as a Republican, but probably is really a Democrat. You see, in Washington State, of residents are not required to choose a or to affiliate themselves with the party, that being Democrat or Republican. So the best we could do is identify what side of the aisle they're on by, I think it's like their donation history, like if they've donated through Act Blue or WinRed, something like that,
Yeah, yeah.
um, or maybe something they've done on social media or something like that, where we can prove, if they're a Democrat, Republican. But I will also go and serve Democrats in my precinct as well, and
Mhm.
everything. I will
Yeah.
go and do that. Believe it or not, there are Democrats that voted for Trump, and,
Oh
and
yeah. Oh yeah. I know. I believe it. I do believe it.
right? There wasn't a lot of them. There probably wasn't a lot of them. There are also some never Trumpers. The Republicans that do not like Trump, and everything. And I'm just like, okay, you know, and everything. But where I'm at is kind of separating this from federal, is that no matter if we are a Republican or a Democrat, we need to realize that there are issues in our own state that we need to fix, and we need to do it together. No matter what side of the aisle that we're on. And I'm about bringing together my community and so like that. And our opinions are going to differ on how to fix things, but regardless, we both are still experiencing that same issue. So we need to work together if we want to make some improvement.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, when you're out canvassing and you see and you're talking to someone and you learn, okay, well, they're not really Republican. Obviously, you don't really push them on. Well, why are you not?
yeah,
But like, do you find that there's more commonality than a lot of people might
oh
think,
man,
or like,
yeah,
and then just like add, and then just explain to them, well,
yeah,
here's what Republicans or this candidate believes,
yes,
and then just talk them through
yeah,
that, like what does that look like?
yes. So you just kind of said it. I think anybody who's watching this, if you're watching live, is to know that if you go talk to a prototypical Democrat and you talk about safety, talk about supporting our police officers, you talk about lowering the crime, they're going to be all, they're like, yeah, absolutely, we need to do that. Yes. See, I don't feel that we are far off. What it is it's the media. You have most Democrats
I
listening to
was about to say that. Yes.
you see, it's the media that is influencing their decisions, but that's so disconnected from reality. Okay, the TV screen is telling you, oh no, there's no problem in your community, but I'm hearing about people being mugged in the head. I'm hearing about people being stabbed, people running around naked in the streets. This is going on in my community right now, Timothy. Okay, and it didn't used to be that way here in Vancouver. Okay, a lot of what has happened in Portland is starting to roll over up here in Vancouver. That's why there's this division between residents of Vancouver and then residents of Portland. See, is because we're like, yo, your guys' problems are starting to affect our quality of life. See, and so I feel that if we can just get Democrats to understand that they need to vote based on the issues and not the letter next to the person's name, we can win every single time because the Republicans are right on the issues. See, it's just that the Democrats, they have the money and they're good with their messaging. I'm going to give it to them. See, and they continue to cram that same message down people's throats 24/7 every day. They're always doing it. A good example would be our congressional race between a gentleman by the name of Joe Kent, who was actually recently appointed to the counterterrorism, um, I guess, department there with the Trump administration. He ran against the incumbent Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, and Marie's ads were always talking about abortion. Every single time you turned around, Facebook, abortion. You turn on
Mhm.
YouTube, abortion. Every single minute, you see. But if people knew better, they would know that federal cannot affect that anymore. That's out of federal's hands now. When Roe v. versus Wade got overturned, see, the states can only make that determination. See, not a congressman. It's in,
And
and
I'm
people,
sure Washington State has some of the best laws for people who want an abortion. So I mean, it shouldn't have really mattered to
it
them.
shouldn't have even have mattered. Like that's not even a thing. And I don't know what Joe really did to combat that message. But Marie had the money, so it was always 24/7 like clockwork, cramming that down people's minds. Like we can't even I can't even be affected by him. See, and there would be no path forward. Okay, Republicans have control of the Senate and Congress. There's no path towards that. That belongs to the states now. See, so there's little things like that that the Democrats do, and if we can just wake people up to kind of show them that what a congressman can do compared to what a state legislator can do, all of that, I really do believe that some of the Democrats will vote the right way. See, and I could see some
Mhm.
of them turning and voting Republican or changing and being Republican altogether. See, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um, Go
another
ahead.
no, another thing. I This is definitely going off a little bit of topic a little bit, but I'm also have gotten involved with kind of doing research into ranked choice voting. I don't know if I mentioned that to you, Timothy, when we were out there at the training, but one of the things I wish I would have worn my hat. That probably would have been better for this this little interview here. I'm working on basically a clause that will prevent ranked choice voting from being implemented into our city and county charters. And the hope is that we could pass a statewide bill that would ban ranked choice voting altogether. You see, I feel that you're not going to hear a lot about it, but a lot of states rejected ranked choice this last year. You see, Arizona rejected it, Idaho rejected it, Oregon, Alaska. It was getting repealed in Alaska. You see, and
I was
it
gonna
just
say Alaska was
yeah,
doing it. Are they still using it?
they're still using it. Unfortunately, it failed. The measure was almost it was winning for most of the time, and then obviously they probably I don't know what they did. I'm not going to say they cheated, but they had the money. See, so they were probably telling people at the last minute to go and vote and make sure you vote to keep it in place. See, but it is being there's another repeal out that's been put forward to repeal it. I don't know if it'll be this year or next year, um, but they're still working to get rid of it. And then other states have banned it. Montana, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I think Montana did ban it, but Wyoming presented legislation just this year to ban ranked choice voting. See, so the states are waking up, and
So, okay,
that
so you said you're doing research on ranked choice voting. So,
yes,
a lot of people might say, "Oh, well, that sounds really great." So, can you explain
absolutely.
why
There's
ranked choice voting is
absolutely.
not good?
Absolutely. So first of all, what is ranked choice voting? First off, it is a method of you being able to rank your candidate in the order that you prefer. So let's say there's 10 candidates that are on the ballot. You rank those candidates in the order of your preference. So you vote for your first candidate, then you vote for your second, third, fourth, etc. And so what they do is when they get all the ballots back, they run every single round, and if anybody gets 50 plus one, they will win the election. So, but usually that doesn't happen. So they end up going through all these different rounds. But the problem is that the candidate who actually gets the most votes probably will not win. And that's a big
Yeah.
problem. The other issue is that you have a thing called ballot exhaustion. People don't ballot exhaustion. What is that? See, with ranked choice
That's
voting,
when you have to go through so many elections, and so people just quit doing it because they're tired of it.
they stop. Like, so for example, they will people will vote for maybe their top three when it says you read to rank 10 of them, right? But they'll only do three because like I
Hmm.
don't know the rest of these candidates. See? And so what it ends up doing is it ends up disenfranchising voters, see, especially in the minority community. The city of Oakland is a very good example. They actually went through an issue where uh, I don't know if they processed the ballots incorrectly, but the candidate that was the least likely to win ended up winning the election. You see, and so that individual actually got recalled just this last year. They recalled her, and what they're going to do is that not only are they going to elect a new mayor, but they're also going to eliminate ranked choice voting. So they're working on that right now, so that to get rid of it out of their charter. Other areas around the state are also working on it. The state of Maine, we just mentioned Maine. They're working on repealing ranked choice voting there as well. I spoke with the elections director last year, and she told me she cannot stand ranked choice voting and that it made their jobs harder when they implemented it. You see, it cost
Hmm.
more. They say it saves money, but it actually it's considerably more money. The New York City spent I think excuse me, I'm getting that mixed up with Maine. Maine spent $400,000. Okay, $400,000 when they first implemented ranked choice voting. Okay, the New York City, getting back to them, they spent $15 million in voter education alone. Okay, just to educate people on how to do ranked choice voting. Does that make sense for the taxpayer to be spending money on
You know
something
that's
that
just like that USAID program, like voter confidence in like Kosovo or something like that. But
you fought on, you spot on. You know, all of these things we're generating, and all of it obviously comes from the Democratic side. I'm sorry. I do know that there's Republicans that support it as well. What's her name over in Alaska? Oh my gosh, what is her name? The congresswoman there. Um,
oh, Susan Collins or Lisa Murkowski
Lisa
or
Murkowski. Lisa Murkowski said that she supports it, and she actually was the one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she's the one that introduced it in Alaska. See, so these are the things we have to be careful for. And if anybody watches this and you have heard anything about ranked choice voting, just know that it is a scam. I don't want to go all conspiracy theory or anything like this, and I don't have nothing to back up what I'm about to say, but I do believe there's a way to game the ranked choice voting system, right? And the reason why I say this for is because I have a friend that actually lives in Portland, and unfortunately, the city of Portland and Multnomah County adopted ranked choice voting into their respective charters. And she went to a seminar where they basically were showing people who to vote for to ensure that that person gets voted in to that particular seat. You see, so vote this person number one, vote this person number two, and this one number three, etc. See, and so
mm,
you have to be careful for things like this, especially knowing that there's a third party application that or organizations that actually come in to run the elections. Maine doesn't even run the ranked choice voting election. It's done by another company that comes in to do it for them, and they have to pay an exorbitant amount of money for that. You see, makes no sense.
mm.
And then
And the state should be the ones running the election, not another company.
you go the
And that's
auditors.
just like that's just like the whole um oh, gosh,
Yeah.
the company that had those voting machines in the 2020
You're,
election,
you're talking about, my gosh, was it, what are they called?
the
I knew
ones that was backed by
you're
George Soros.
exactly correct. Yes. We
Yep.
there
Just
are,
like that.
oh my goodness, this name is skipping my mind. I had it and
Yeah.
it's skipped my mind.
Yeah.
Yes, from what I understand, they actually went bankrupt. So they went bankrupt, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they've managed to reincarnate themselves into another organization, but they went bankrupt. These are the things that you're not going to hear about, you see. And the fair vote, who's the one that actually is the pushers of ranked choice voting, they're smart. I'm going to give it to them. I'm not going to, sit here and go, oh, they're dumb. No, they're not. They're brilliant and everything. They will, if they go in and they know that ranked choice voting have been repealed or banned, and anywhere else, they'll say that that jurisdiction chose not to adopt ranked choice voting at this time. Yeah. And then you have others that say, oh, it's inevitable that ranked choice voting is coming. So they're very confident, okay, and when their words and when they are giving testimony to our committees in the legislature and even to our city councils. You see, they're very good. So that, but the way to combat that, obviously, is to obviously educate people on the dangers of it. And with this clause that I will be bringing, it will be obviously local just to Washington State for now, is to figure out a way to put something that will block it, right, from being implemented.
Hmm. That's amazing. That you're
Yeah,
doing great work,
trying, we're
Cemal. Great
we're
work.
trying. Absolutely. I guess I don't know how much more time we have here, but sticking within this election integrity space, is the movie I watched called, I think it was three. Was it 2,000 meals or 3,000 meals? Is
Two
either one.
thousand meal or for 20,000? Oh, or about
It
some
was one.
meals by
It was something like
Dinesh
that.
D'Souza, but it is
Yeah.
very good.
It's
Very
a
good.
good picture. And so, if that doesn't prove, okay, and just so for those who have never watched that film, it basically just documents where the fraud took place at here in the country and how they were able to do it. You see, knowing that a lot of the state laws around the country, and obviously the blue states, are very lenient. You know, it's very easy for them to commit fraud here in Washington State. As I just said, with the illegals being able to vote, they're also wanting to allow people to register to vote in Washington State who don't live here. So, Timothy, you can register to vote in Washington State and not step one foot ever for the rest of your life in these boundaries.
You know what? That could actually backfire on them. Like
It,
the Republicans could actually take and go like register to vote in Washington State. Make sure you
so,
vote there and like. But
Timothy,
I guess does that make your vote in your state null and void though?
that's, and it does. See, if we're allowing other people to come and vote, just think about that. Literally, let's take Texas. Let's just take Texas. Okay, Texas's voice could have a bigger voice than Washington State because of that law. Because anybody can register to vote, right? It doesn't matter where you live at. If you're a resident, right, doesn't matter. Anybody can register. So imagine, just take Texas. Their voice can matter more than the Washingtonians' voice, right? Or New York, it can matter more than Washingtonians' voices. You see, and so I've had some conversations with a few individuals about this. I am completely against it. I feel that if you are going to be a registered voter, the only exception, it could be maybe three types of individuals. One, you are military. That's referred to as UOCAVA. Okay, and that is that's federal. You are a traveling. You have a traveling career, and that has to be proven, right? And the other, I don't really know what the other one was, but for those two, okay, I'll give that exception. Anybody else, if you cannot prove those two, you have to have a mailing address that is within Washington State. Okay. If you do not have a address within Washington State, you cannot be a registered voter here. Not happening. See, and that's the reason why we have so many bloated rolls. It's because anybody that it's just open to anyone to vote in the state, and we need to go back, roll it way back to what it used to be. See,
I mean, that's just like California. California made it illegal to ask someone for their ID to vote.
all that stuff, everything to
I mean,
show that.
like, it's absurd. Total absurdity. It's like, okay, they are, like, that's nefarious, and they're trying to do that just so they can win the
Yes,
election, because then, like, they get all these illegals to vote, and then that's how they get Gavin Newsom for another
there you
term as
go.
governor. It's like, what?
Absolutely. Here in Washington,
So,
you don't even need to have your ID. You can go up to the elections office, fill it out, and fill out the voter registration form, turn it in. They'll give you a ballot. You can register and vote on the same day of the election.
yeah, in Texas, it's 30, you have to register 30 days before the election
Yes.
in order to vote.
So,
And you have to be registered in your precinct. If you're
pre-
not registered, if
precinct.
you, I mean, I'm sorry. If you have to you have to vote in the district
That you
that
say
you are registered in.
that's right. And anything go. It's the Wild Wild West here in Washington State. You can print your ballot offline. You literally can go onto Vote Wall, which is the website. You can go and print your ballot and fill it out and turn in your ballot, print offline. You just look at all the different ways somebody can commit fraud. You see everything. And another issue is that somebody can update their signature. You don't actually need to come in physically to the office to update any of that information. You can do that, remotely, send it in and sign your new signature on that form, and they'll take it, accept it, and give you a new ballot. Is there's no guardrails, none whatsoever here in Washington State, and there's a lot of work that we have to do to fix our election laws, and that starts with our legislature. A lot of these laws, unfortunately, are coming from the Democrats in the House and Senate, and and the only way to fix that, to bring back that balance, is to start flipping some districts and winning some seats, on the Republican side. And I'm hoping that we can get some good common sense people elected soon, because we have a lot of bad legislation coming down the pipeline that's not benefiting the residents of Washington.
Okay, so going off of like the Democrats and then like putting all of this legislation into place, they I was listening to a certain place where I get my news, and they were talking about how the House Oversight Committee, they found they're investigating Joe Biden,
Mhm.
and all of the things that he signed into law, or like executive order or whatever,
Mhm.
and they're finding that that was not his actual signature. That was someone else signing
So,
for him. And it's
so
like the Democrats are lifeless people, and they all they care about is power, so they will do
and
anything to keep power.
and
That is why in your state and in California
yes,
and in Illinois with J.B. Pritzker, they
yes,
have those horrible voting laws so that they can keep staying
they
in power.
power, everything, and give it to them. Now, I'm not going to say, oh, they're dumb, everything, oh, they're stupid. No, they're brilliant, because they go after the things that people don't really bother to look at or think about. But when you start really thinking everything through, with all the little small changes that they make, bits and pieces at a time, over the amount of years that have gone by, it adds up to getting to their ultimate agenda. You see, and what I've learned is getting into with the young professionals program with the Washington Policy Center, is learning these things, is understanding the nuances of policymaking, and that you may not be able to get everything you want with that bill that you're presenting, but if you can get that one piece, see, that's a step forward, and then you work on getting that other piece, and you keep moving it forward. You see, and so that is what we need to do, because the Democrats have been doing that to move towards their ultimate agenda. But I'm not even in the mindset of we're going to do things the way we want to do them. No, no, it's about being fair and about ensuring that everything makes sense for each voter. I don't have a problem, Timothy, if a Democrat beats out a Republican. I have no problem with that. But let's make sure that our laws are in place to ensure a fair election. That's all. You
Hmm.
see? So like that, and let's let fair be fair, and what's right is what's right. And currently, what's going on right now in Washington State is not right. See, so that's what do it.
Hmm.
We have our work to do.
So I have one more thing I want to say, and then we can close out with a few closing remarks. But
Mhm.
uh, I I think that a state like Washington State, the Republican Party should put their money into Washington State
Mhm.
and other states that aren't necessarily red states,
Mhm.
and they should focus on those states and get people elected.
Mhm.
And they need to focus on the elections that happen there,
Mhm.
because especially in California, because like weeks, even like a month after the election, they were still counting ballots in California. And like when you look at when you look at that and you
Yes.
say, "Oh my, why are they still counting ballots?" It's
Yes.
likely because they're trying to flip that race
Go.
from conservative to Democrat or leftist even, and
Yes.
then they can like keep their power and keep like a majority in California.
Yes.
So like we need to like keep money in the red states so that we can keep those states. We don't need to just abandon them, because if we
If
abandon them, it will
yes.
turn into states like Washington State and California.
Go. There you go.
But
So that
we need
and
to focus on the states that are blue
yes.
so we can get people elected
There
that
you go.
are common sense like you.
That's that. This. So let's make sure we're clear here. I am never going to say, okay, that we know our Democrat leadership, those that are actually in the legislature and all that. But the Democrat voters, they're smart people. They know
Yeah,
when they see something wrong. They
yeah.
know they're not dumb.
Most of them, I would say.
Most of them who I've spoken with in my precinct, okay, in my district, they know that something's not right. You see, and it's all about being able to message to them and get them to understand where the problems are coming from. See, and that's why I say if any money, going back to what you're saying, like we'll say in Texas, or in Arizona, so like that, man, you guys are cool right now. You guys are good. Give us some of that money. Florida. I'm like, Florida, help us out. Help out our help me help you. You know, it kind of type deal. So
Hmm.
because if I were to have a chat with um I don't know, Florida State Republican Party, whatever, right? And they were to give some money to Washington State, I would tell them on our legislature is help us flip seats in our legislative districts, because by doing that, we'll be able to build up to being able to get a governor elected, or a another statewide Republican elected, and then on top of that, how does that help with the overall picture? We will be able to flip congressional seats so we can get more Republicans into the White House. You see, so or to send more Republicans rather to DC rather, and so that's where my mind is. A local, in my opinion, is the most important right now. Yeah, federal's doing its thing, and that's great. But we need to focus back on our lead sheets, because if we can do things on a statewide level, that can trickle down to helping county and city. See, so that's
um, yes, yes. And I don't know if you have X or Twitter, whatever you call it, but there's someone on there named Precinct Strategy. That's his name on X.
Yes. Okay.
And I was in a space with him last night. And I don't know if you have X, you should go check it out.
Precinct.
Check out his account. But
Mm.
he one of the things that he presses for is for conservative
Mm.
precinct committee members
Yeah. Yes.
to make sure that they do not have any vacancies.
There you go.
And I don't know how if Washington State has many vacancies or your district has many vacancies in
We
the precincts, but
we do.
he
We
said that
we
you
have
do.
we do. We have actually a lot of vacancies here, and it has been it's very difficult, especially in my district, which is LD 49 here. It is very difficult to find Republican precinct committee officers, or rather prospects to be precinct committee officers. I wouldn't necessarily say that the work is a lot, but you do have to commit to getting out there to go talk to your neighbors, and to at least try to get out there and communicate with them in some way, shape, or form. Knowing that I stay busy with a lot of different projects, I'm going to actually start sending mailers to the neighbors in my precinct. You see, I'm even going to send it to Democrats. It's going to go to everybody. I'm not going to say, oh, but it's going to do Republicans. No, I'm going to also do the independents, swing voters, whatever. Everything. So I want them to know that I care about them as well. See, everything. So, and not treating them like, oh, you're on the other side. Nuh-uh. We're in this together. See, and so whatever issues are
Mm-hmm.
affecting me, it's affecting you as well. See.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you so much for being here, and
Yeah.
I highly recommend you go check out. I think it's precinctstrategy.com or something, but go check it out because he has a lot of resources that you and our friend that was at the training with us. You guys can check that out, and
Will
you guys
do.
might find it helpful. But
Will do.
thank you so much for being here,
Yes.
Kamal,
Thank
and
you. Yes.
hopefully I'll try and have you on again, and we can talk about the developments of what you're doing and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That will be for the next time. Yes, we'll have
All
a
right,
report for you.
sounds
Absolutely.
good. Thank you so much, Kamal, and I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. Okay, Timothy. Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.